Hi everyone, I am Aziz and I welcome you to another video in this series where we discuss output based JavaScript interview questions. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright guys, so let's start with the first question. So over here you can see that there is a variable with the name C and we have assigned an object to this variable C. And then we have declared another variable. And over here we are assigning the value of C to variable D. And then we are updating the greeting property of this object to hello. And then we are printing the value of greeting on object D. Now you can take a pause over here and think about what will be the output of this snippet. Alright, so let me run this code. So you can see over here that we got hello as the output of running this snippet. Now let's understand why we got hello rather than hey. Okay, so what happens when this code will execute? So as soon as we initialize the variable C with a new object, so in JavaScript this new object will be created somewhere in the memory. Okay, and the reference of this object will be assigned to variable C, correct? And then when we write D is equal to C, which means whatever value C is holding, we are assigning that value to D, which means C is holding the reference to this object. And here we are assigning the same reference to variable D. Great. And then we are updating the greeting property to hello. So here we have to think that what C is holding. C is holding the reference of this object, right? And D is also holding the reference of this object, okay? Which means C and D both are holding the reference of the same object. So whatever object we use to update the greeting property, it will directly impact this object, correct? Which is why we got hello rather than hey. Great, so far so good. Now let's move to question number 2. Now here you can see that we have a variable A which is initialized with 3. In the second line we are assigning a value to B, and this value is going to be the constructor called to number function. Okay, and we are passing 3 over here. And in the third line we are again initializing a variable C with the value 3. Okay, now we have to predict the output of this code snippet. So what would be the output of all of these 3 console logs? Now let me run this code snippet. So you can see that the output of first console log is true, the output of second console log is false, and the output of third console log is also false. Now if you want to predict the output of this type of code snippet, we have to understand the concept of loose comparison and the strict comparison, which means we have to understand how double equal works and how triple equal works. So when we do the equality check with the double equal symbol, it's going to internally perform the implicit coercion. Implicit coercion means the type conversion. So when we compare A with the B, the type conversion happens, okay, and the value of B will be converted to its primitive counterpart, okay. So the value of A is already a primitive, and then the value of B will be converted to count its primitive counterpart, which is equal to 3. So which means 3 equals 3 is true, which is why we got true over here. Now the triple equal works very differently in this case. So the triple equals do not do any type conversion implicitly, okay. It just check the type of both the operands. If the types are same, it just returns true, and if the types are different, then it just returns false. So we can say that the double equal does the loose comparison and the triple equal does the strict comparison. We can also say that it is a strict equality check, okay. So what happens when we check A triple equals B? So you can say that A is a primitive value and B is the reference value, which is why we got false over here. And similarly, if we do the strict equality check with B and C, the B is a reference value and C is the primitive value, which is why we got false over here. So let me explain a little bit more about the loose comparison and the strict comparison. So as you can see that we have 1 double equals 1. So what happens when we do a console log of this expression? So here the implicit cohesion happens, which means the string 1 will be converted to number. Okay, and then it's gonna check if 1 is equal to 1 or not. And when we log this, we get the true. And when we log this, we will get true. Okay, and when we do 1 triple equals 1, you can see that this one is a primitive and this one is a string. So here there is no implicit conversion happens, no coercion happens, which means the type of both the operands are different, which is why we will get false if we do console log of this expression. Amazing. Now let's move to next example. In this example, you can see that we have a color class. In this color class, we have one static method and we have one constructor. Great. Now here we are creating a new instance of this color class and the object is stored in the obj variable. And then we are calling the change color method over this object. Now you have to tell me what will happen if we call the change color method with the help of this object. Will it work or will it throw an error? So let me run this code snippet. So as you can see that it is yelling at us saying that type error object dot change color is not a function. So what's the reason behind this error? It's pretty simple, that the change color method is a static method, and always remember, static method always belongs to class. It never belongs to object. So when we create the object, the static method never gets copied to this new object. It remains at the level of class. And the second thing we should remember that we cannot call the static method with the help of any instance of the class. Okay, so here you can see that we are calling the static method with the help of the instance of this class, which is why we got type error. Wonderful. Now let's move to another example. Okay, so here you can see that we have declared one variable with the name of greeting, and then we are assigning an object to this variable, and then we are simply logging the variable in console. Now you tell me what will be the output of this code snippet. So let me run this code snippet and see the output. So you can see that we got the blank object. So why we got this blank object? We have to understand this. So if you carefully look at this code snippet, the spelling of greeting is greeting, but over here the spelling of greeting is not like this, which means we end up creating a greeting variable on the top of global context. Okay, as we are running this code snippet on the script level and we have not initialized this variable with the help of let or constant, it's gonna create a new property on the global context. And what is the global context? It's a window. Okay, so on window object, it's gonna create a new property with the name of greetign. Okay, and then when we print this, it will simply print this object. Great. Now let's move to next question. So here we have a bark function, and inside this we have a console log, and here we are using the bark identifier and assigning a value to one property, and the name of that property is animal, and then we are logging bark.animal. So here my question to you is this the correct syntax? Can we write this in JavaScript? Will it work or not? So let's see by running this code snippet. So if we run this, you can see that we got the correct output, which was expected as dog. Okay, so why we are able to do this? So here we need to understand that in JavaScript all the functions are object, and we call functions as callable object. So if the functions are object, then definitely we can add the properties on this object and we can assign any value to that property. Then we can also access the property like this. Okay, so this is the reason we got dog as the output. Great. So guys, I hope all the questions and the reasoning for all the questions is clear to you. So this is pretty much all about this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.